𝐁9.com.
Here we go. Welcome in. Welcome in. You've made it to Friday. Everybody gets a round of applause. Stand up, take your bow. Welcome in on this Friday edition of the show. I'm Matt in the Bureau. That's the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. I'm Matt Beavers here, and we got the whole gang because you're here. Appreciate you being here on this Friday. And anything kind of goes. You know, look, you got high school football scrimmages / jamborees going on, don't you? Yeah, all that's going to happen today. What do we got? Brandon at Warren Central, I think, is one of those. So, you know, go out and watch. I was dropping my daughter off at school today, and at her school, you know, I saw the guys getting out of their cars and headed into school today, and they were wearing their jerseys. I thought, man, that's a throwback. It's neat to see that. It's a fun time of their life, not to mention a fun time of year. So they got that going on. Yeah, NFL preseason is under, you know, the final weekend of the preseason is underway. You're going to have I don't know, maybe you got some preseason games tonight. I haven't looked at it yet. I know you're going to have a full slate of preseason games tomorrow. And some of the players have been sitting out, you know, are going to continue it. Some are actually going to play. Yeah, you actually do have preseason games here tonight. So we'll go over some of that and much, much more. Whatever you want to get into is cool with me on this free-for-all Friday, so let her rip. And there's several ways for you to do it. Hey, everybody, on the live stream, if you're on Facebook or YouTube or X, formerly Twitter, feel free to drop a comment in there. I'll be able to see it and pop it up on the screen. Like Gene on Facebook, he says, 9 is fine. What does that mean? 9 what, Gene? Because, I mean, technically, we're 8 days from when State and Southern Miss and everybody's going to open the season, right? Aren't we 8? Not 9. But what's 9? 9 till what? So let me know. Yeah, but like that, you can pop your comment up on the screen. We can get you in the conversation that way. And if you're watching the stream, Facebook or YouTube, hit that thumbs up, like it helps. It helps people to see it. You can text me on the Country Pleasing text line. The number to text is 885-3776, 601 number, 885-3776. So text away, the Country Pleasing text line. Oh, okay, I got it. Hunter. Yeah. Gene, he came in there and got me too. Okay, so SEC games, the 9-game schedule. Now I get it. Now I know what we're talking about. Okay, yeah, SEC football. We're going to play 9 games starting next year. We'll talk about that. Text me on the Country Pleasing text line. And you can call me on the Junction phone. The number to call is 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. The Junction phone. Junction delis across the state. Fueled by Prince Oil Company. And Prince Oil has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. Fuel for your stomach and fuel for your truck, whatever the case may be. So get on in here. Let's check in with the reason that we're on the air. Doesn't happen without him. Good old buddy, old pal, Beav. Hey, Beaver. Happy Friday, sir. Hey, and also, I couldn't remember if I responded, but I did get your text last night with that photo. We'll have to discuss that at some point. You talk about knocking me back. But it's not sports related, y'all. We'll let you in on that later. It's something else. It's a movie that he watched. Somebody that's in it. I couldn't believe it. Anywho, welcome in here. Yeah, Jason, I guess that's what it was. Jason on the Country Pleasing text lines and 9 conference games plus 1 Power 4 opponent for football starting next year. And then he said, is that a crying emoji? Jason, why? Okay, that's the question for you, Jason. Why the crying emoji? We'll get into it later. First up, headlines.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines. Brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. Right here in Mississippi, anything mortgage related, that's where you want to go. Start online at mortgagemanms.com. Hear me? mortgagemanms.com. Headline number one. The SEC will, excuse me, I need a sip of hot coffee. Hang on. There we go. Now everything's right in the world. Hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. The SEC will play a 9-game conference schedule starting next year, 2026. Made the announcement yesterday. Historic move they've been considering for years, one story said. It had to be approved by the SEC presidents. They did approve it. Here is a quote from the all-powerful Wizard of Oz. No, the SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. Quote, adding a 9th SEC game underscores our university's commitment to delivering the most competitive football schedule in the nation. It's a mouthful. I got thoughts, and we'll discuss it coming up. I watched a little bit of Jackson Dart last night, former Reb quarterback. Man, I'm going to tell you something. He's fun to watch in this preseason for the Giants. He'll be their quarterback sooner than later. It's just a matter of time. But he did get banged up a little bit last night. Giants quarterback Jackson Dart concluded his first preseason with another fine performance, capped by an injury scare. After a 23-yard run on fourth down late in the first quarter of Thursday night's 42-10 win against the Patriots, Dart tried to run over 2 defenders. He fumbled. Head slammed into the ground. Officials, stop the game, stop. They made him leave the field. But he's all right. Jameis Winston went in there and threw a 30-yard touchdown pass while he was being evaluated. Got the wind knocked out of him. We've all been there. If you've played, that is no fun. You'll think you're dying, and you're not. You can get over it pretty quick. And so no concussion for him. He's good to go. Jackson Dart has been really, really, really good this preseason for the Giants. And I'm telling you, man, he and Scatterboo and that whole bunch, there's just some, I don't know how to explain it other than, yes, he's really good, but there's something about Jackson Dart that is such a fit with like all the players and the staff and the Giants as a whole, and everybody can sense it. You can't put your finger on it, and he adds energy and makes the whole thing better. Meanwhile, Cleveland Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders is expected to play tomorrow in the preseason finale for the Browns. They're going to play the Rams. They'll be at home in Cleveland. Browns coach Kevin Stefanski said undrafted rookie wide receiver Isaiah Bond also going to play. Now, there's more to the story there, too. You know, there were these comments about Dylan Gabriel, the other rookie quarterback, and Shedeur, and whether they get along, and somebody made a comment and all that. But I'm not getting into it because I simply think it's just childish media fodder trying to get attention, and we're better than that. Or maybe we're – let me back up. Maybe we're not better than that. We just got other stuff to do, okay? We got other stuff to do. 2 more headlines, and then we'll jump into the discussion here. Headlines presented by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank, and my man went. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Jerry Jones of the Cowboys said in an interview that the offer they made to Micah Parsons was the richest ever for a non-quarterback, and it got turned down. Now, the question is, do you believe him? And then finally, bringing this show specifically for people like Nick and Beaver. The New York Yankees have announced that a George Costanza sleeping bobblehead giveaway is coming up. Remember on Seinfeld when George working for the Yankees and he made himself a bed and everything, a real cozy place to hide out under his desk? Remember that? I think it has a quote on the, if I could describe it for you, it has a quote in the bobblehead. There's like a bobblehead of George lying down underneath a desk, like in a little box deal. It has the Seinfeld logo on it. The quote, "I love a good nap. Sometimes it's the only thing getting me out of bed in the morning." Yankees are doing it big. The first 18,000 fans at the upcoming Yankees matchup against the Red Sox. Wait, they already did it. This Thursday. Okay. The first 18,000 fans got a bobblehead the day they played the Red Sox of him sleeping under his desk. It coincided with Seinfeld night at Yankee Stadium. He had to get there 5 hours early. I love a good nap. Man, that is a great idea. The Yankees, they sort of lead the way and all this kind of stuff. And then you have the whole Seinfeld thing where they built it into the show. Match made in heaven. Those are your headlines. Brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank right here in Mississippi. Places like here in the Metro, Starkville, Oxford, Tupelo, between here and Memphis. Anything mortgage related, buying, refinancing, that's where you go. Start right there. Go to mortgagemanms.com. Hunter comments on YouTube, says, "Hey, Matt, I must have missed it last year, but did you know the Arena Football League held their championship game in a mall?" No. Hunter, let me just say this, okay? If you missed it, so did I. We're not the only ones who missed it. We just missed it, okay? Along with everybody else, we missed it. Now, the big story here is the 9-game schedule, the SEC going to 9 games. Let me just start you off with this, and then I'm coming to your comments. Jared, you've got a thought on it on Facebook. Jason and J-Rock and others on the text line, you got thoughts on this 9-game SEC schedule. So, this is the last of the current deal. Probably have permanence next year, beginning in 26 and all that. Let me just say this. Okay, yeah, on one hand, I see over here clearly, the SEC is a better league. There are better players, more of them, week after week, no matter what team you're playing in the SEC. There are better teams week after week. It is more of a gauntlet than the other conferences. Okay? But on the other hand, there's all this other stuff. We're expanding the playoff and with no end in sight. We're just going to keep expanding, finally get it like it's supposed to be, where lots of teams play it off. Right? It's great for TV. TV's paying all your bills anyway. So the more you expand, the less you have to worry about getting held out of the out of the championship hunt, because you've got an extra loss here or there because you play a tougher league than the rest of them do. So that thing that was sort of holding the SEC back from going to 9 games, that's out. In fact, I might even argue that this is a sign. The SEC going ahead and doing this is a sign that if you think there's an end to this expanding the college football playoff anywhere in sight, it's not. I'm just telling you, we're going to look up one day real soon and go, hey, look, Mike Leach told them they should have done this 10 years ago. And now they're finally doing it. It's going to happen. But it's that. And here's the other thing, too. In an era where your TV partners are solely surviving on having live sports programming. Without live sports programming, your TV partners would be, and they know it and you know it, dead in the water. They got nothing. So it's such a premium now that there's also no end in sight into what they would pay for programming, for live sports programming. So, and okay, the relationship fits right now because schools and conferences, what are you starving for? More money because you're having to pay players constantly. And so the whole thing just, it's just led to this, or it's almost a necessity to have more quality games to give to your TV partners, more quality, compelling type of games for your fan bases who are buying these tickets and that sort of thing. So, all of that stuff makes it just kind of a natural decision to me. And I don't think it's did y'all think about this? Fine, I'm going to say this and then I'm coming to your comment. Did y'all think about this? I don't think it's a coincidence at all that back-to-back days you get a story about the playoff committee is now going to consider a new schedule metric. You remember that story? Like the day of or the day before this thing with the SEC going to 9 games, we get the story that the playoff committee is going to use a new metric as a part of their discussions and formula for figuring out who played tougher schedules. You're going to be hurt less for a loss to a good team. You're going to get more credit for a win over a good team. As soon as that story came out, the SEC goes, all right, 9 games. We're good now. It's like the SEC said, okay, we've been waiting for this. They saw it coming. It's all planned out. But it's like when that decision was made, it's like the SEC went, we've been waiting for this. For you to guarantee us, yeah, we'll play another league game every year. It helps everybody. It's good for everybody. But we needed the assurances of the college football playoff committee stuff. We needed it in writing that you're going to have a way to assure us that we're not actually going to hurt ourselves by playing another conference game. And as soon as they got that assurance, boom, okay, sure, we'll play 9. And then finally, I'm all for the fewer games we have, me personally, because all I'm doing is watching them. I'm not playing them. So the fewer Alabama versus Mercer games we have, the better for everybody. I know Mercer's getting one less check, but hey, them's the breaks. All right, what do you think? Let me know. Jason in Flagstaff said, country pleasing text line. It's great for slipping an extra team into the playoff every now and then, but it's not great for the bottom half of the league teams that struggle to get to bowl eligibility as it is. Well, that's true. That's true. It is, one more SEC conference game every year, one less non-conference every year, does absolutely 100% mean that you better pick it up. You better get it together. It raises the stakes and the level of competition. J-Rock texted in on the country pleasing text line. He goes 0-8 or 0-9. What's the difference? Come on, J-Rock. We can be positive. Denzel, he texted and said, the biggest game tonight is Ravenwood at MRA. Fans of MRA will recognize the Ravenwood offensive coordinator. It's none other than Hayden Davis, who is the son of MRA head coach Herbert Davis. Yeah, okay, so private schools starting their season tonight, not jamborees, but starting the season tonight, which is awesome. Yeah, Ravenwood from Tennessee, Hayden. And, a sign that they think you're a bright up-and-coming coach is you've coached defense in some capacity your whole life, and all of a sudden, hey, this year you're going to be the offensive coordinator. So, yeah, that's really neat. That'll be really neat. Father and son on opposite sidelines. Heck of a story. Great people, great family. Grumpy texted with a photo. Now, this is neat. Let's see. What do we got here? Old black and white photo. Matt, Grumpy was looking through some pictures of 1941-42 MSU football. Heard Winslow talking about M Club sweaters the other day, and did see some sweaters, but didn't see some sweaters, but mostly jackets. Grumpy's mom and dad, 1942. Wow. How about, so that is your mom and dad, huh, Grumpy? What a great picture. Yeah, they're kind of hugging and posing for a photo back in 40, 41, 42. And his mom is wearing that Letterman jacket from MSU there. Isn't that a great photo? Thanks for sharing that. Now, Grumpy did say he's also on the New York Giants bandwagon. And then on the Cowboys thing and Micah Parsons, he said, yeah, the question is, do you believe Jerry Jones? Do you believe that Jerry Jones made the richest ever offer to a non-quarterback to Micah Parsons and they turned it down? Because that's what he's saying. Blitz texts the show, and he says 9-game schedule means State will be lucky to see a bowl 3 out of 10 years. Well, it may be, unless you pick it up. I don't know, raise a bunch of money and go buy you a new team every year. Otherwise, yeah, it probably will be tough to do it. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona says, and also you can set your watch by it. Mississippi State's conference schedule is dictated by the SEC. Alabama, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Tennessee, A&M, Oklahoma. Yeah, right. Oh, man. The fact that they get to manually manipulate that first schedule for this new format, Jason, as a State person, doesn't it scare you to death? Because you know good and well you're going to get bent over with that thing. Just prepare for it ahead of time. I hate to say it. All right, just getting started with y'all here on this Friday. Your comments, your texts, your calls. Coming up here in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. Back after this.
We'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's a whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Ogeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. What we got there? What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roasted right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and true. Magnolia blend. High Point Roasters coffee, New Albany, Mississippi. All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance, go with the home team. They are your home team. Let's head over to the live stream, see what we got over here. Jared commented earlier on Facebook and said, I was excited about having a slightly easier conference schedule for the next 2 years with Kentucky, Vandy, Mizzou, South Carolina, Oklahoma, LSU, Alabama under the current model. But I'm sure they'll give us our 3 permanent opponents, maybe Ole Miss, A&M, Kentucky, and then Texas, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Florida, and Tennessee. We will definitely have the hardest schedule again. You know, I wonder about that. Yeah, you know, the cynical / pessimistic side of Mississippi State fan Matt wonders the same thing, Jared. But, you know, having what is, you know, unanimously agreed upon the hardest or next hardest schedule in the country last year and this year for the first 2 years of a total rebuild under Jeff Levy, I just wonder if there's not some sort of consideration there when putting the one together for next year. You know what I mean? I mean, the fact that it's not that, okay, all the SEC schedules are tough. That they are. You know, we have this debate a couple of weeks ago looking at the SEC helmet schedule and going, all right, which SEC team has the easiest schedule? But that's not even really the right word. It's like just which one is not the hardest in the country. Well, in this case, at the bottom there is Missouri this year. They got a really light schedule as it turned out. So, yeah, they're all tough. It's just that when you are like Florida or Mississippi State's schedule last year and this year, it's so obviously just overwhelmingly difficult as compared to even some of the other ones in the league that surely. Now, if they do some other formula, I don't know what they'll do, but if it's like random out of a hat, you know what I mean? Like, here's everybody's 3 permanents. Okay, let's put those on the board for all 16. There they are, 3 permanents. Here's the dates. Now, let's fill in these other dates. Flipping coins. Here we go. You know what I mean? Or pulling out of a hat. The name we draw. Okay, who's first? Let's go alphabetical. Alabama's first, so their next opponent is, and pull out of the hat, Missouri. That means, you know, Missouri in Tuscaloosa this year and next year in Missouri. You know, if that's the way they do it, then you don't know. But I don't know how they're going to do it. And then the issue of the 3 permanents. Now, y'all forgive me, please. You know, if you're a regular listener to this show, and since this came out yesterday, maybe you're a diehard fan and you've watched and listened to all kinds of different content out there about it. And maybe you're sick of it by now. I don't know. I didn't really catch it yesterday. I was busy doing other stuff. Last night, same thing. This morning, same thing. So I haven't had a chance to discuss it with you because the news broke after we were off the air yesterday. And, you know, I caught it late too. So it's still kind of fresh to me, so I hope I'm not boring you with it. But I think who the three permanents are, pretty important. And if they're going to do it that way, and I think they probably will. So certainly Ole Miss and State get each other as one of your permanents, and it should be that way. Certainly like Alabama and Auburn are going to get each other as a permanent, okay, and it should be that way. But outside of that, who else? Really, who are they? Because if you try to just go with since the early 2000s who the league told you your rival was for that permanent cross-division rival thing, well, see, like for State, that was Kentucky, but there was no rivalry with Kentucky. That was all manufactured because they had decided you had to have a permanent rivalry because that's what they had to do for Alabama and Auburn. It's what they had to do for Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn versus Georgia. So if we're going to do it for those two, you see what I mean? So it was manufactured. The whole Vanderbilt and Ole Miss thing that they shoved down your throat on the schedule and calling it cross-division rival, that was made up. There wasn't a real rivalry. It's just two teams in the same league. Put them on there, make them play each other every year. Same thing for State and Kentucky. Same thing for Texas A&M and South Carolina, for Pete's sake. Are you kidding me? LSU and Florida. So what I'm saying now is, are you just going by that? Because if you are, that's a little lazy. It's fine if they want to make Kentucky one of State's permanents, vice versa. It's fine, but it's not because it's some rivalry that anybody gives a flip about. They know they still don't. Florida, Georgia, some of those things. But who are the permanents around the league going to be? I do find that very interesting. Hunter talking about the Arena League Championship being in a mall, and he said you can catch a touchdown pass, get you a Cinnabon all in one play. Blind Squirrel Sports, Georgia fan, said, although I've heard a wise man say iron sharpens iron, I'm not sure how I feel about 9 conference games, especially since the SEC leads all conferences in injuries per play due to physicality. Hey, and Blind Squirrel, you know, if you have a little extra time, I'm not saying you do, but if you do have a little extra time over the next week or so, you ought to do something, all right? With this monitor in the studio here, I have gone back and I kind of bookmarked a bunch of old games from some 70s, some 80s and stuff that are out there. It's fun to pop those up and watch them. And go back and watch SEC football from the mid-80s, late 80s, earliest part of the 90s. And everybody makes fun of them, you know, or not makes fun, but just points out how everybody seemed to wear oversized shoulder pads and pads on their pants and stuff back in the day. Well, let me tell you something. It was so much more physical back then than it is now. And I know that supposedly now players are bigger and faster. Maybe they are if we weigh them and we, you know, time them in the 40. But let me tell you something. The style of play, the whole thing now is soft compared to the way those guys played back in that era. And really even across the country. Like the one that's in the studio today is the 1991 Notre Dame and Tennessee game. It was in South Bend, Indiana. Man, I mean, those guys, you know, flying head first and jumping on a guy who's on the ground and like mashing him into the dirt, grinding his collarbone into the ground. That was a common occurrence every play. They'd throw somebody out of the game now for it. It was way more physical back then. Hail State fan comments. He says on YouTube, Matt, Dave Marler was another MSU QB not mentioned often. In 1980, he led Hamilton to the CFL Grey Cup, losing the game to Edmonton, who was led by Warren Moon. How about that? Yeah. You know, and isn't he still like all over the record books and stuff? Or is that, I guess maybe the modern era? A lot of the quarterback stuff, when Dan Mullen came along, like the numbers, everybody put up such great numbers. All the QBs who played for him did. Hunter said 9 conference games and 1 group of 4 team will be on the schedule, just to one up the Big Ten. And yeah, in other words, okay, you run your mouth. Well, shut up. Try this on for size. It's kind of how the SEC can do it. I mean, look, 9 conference. We can say this. It's, again, one step closer to just doing what Nick Saban said they should have done 8 years ago. He was the one going, fans don't want to buy a ticket to watch us play, UT Martin. They don't want to see that. Why are we complaining about students leaving the game when we're up 31-0 at halftime? They don't want to see that. I don't blame them. You need to go to better games, play better games, play your competition more often. And look, I know that it means for teams who aren't good, it means more losses. I get it. But the whole thing about, like Jason said earlier, or somebody, maybe it wasn't Jason, said what it means is for state is, you get to a bowl game like 3 out of every 10 years. Okay, well, here's my thing. Who gives a flip? Because what do you have, 50 bowls? I've lived long enough to see a Mississippi State team go to a bowl game. They won 5 games that year. Again, here's an old guy comment for you. When I was a sophomore at State, we won 7 games. We only played an 11-game schedule. Now they play 12. In an 11-game schedule, we won 7 of them, including we won in Tuscaloosa. We won in Auburn. You know what I mean? At South Carolina. 7 wins out of 11. Didn't go to a bowl. Why? There were 16 bowl games. Now there's 60. So what I'm saying is, you got kids opting out of bowl games anyway. They don't even want to play in them. So that's one thing for me. Why would I care if the team misses a bowl some of these years? We got whole teams opting out of bowl games. The entire Marshall team opted out of their bowl game last year. So when it comes to that, make it more competitive, make it more compelling, up the ante, add more pressure into it, and raise the bar. I'm all for it. Go ahead and do it. Because then when you do earn something, you will have really earned it, and the rest of the country can just shut up about how many games you're playing or how many you're not. I'm actually all for it. Back after this.
This is Jake.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The Junction Deli's, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen to the radio show, I've been to the Junction in several different places around the state. I've bought gas just like you at a lot of places that are fueled by Prince Oil Company, and they are really wonderful people. By the way, that brand spanking new Junction Deli, Chevron, right across the highway from Germantown High School. It's in Canton. We say Gluckstadt. Do you realize they and other Junction Delis, they serve country-pleasing sausage over there on the buffet? They don't get much better than that. The Junction and Prince Oil Company. That's what I'm talking about. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire. Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business.
outreach business, anything like that, everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash and a particular look that I've worked on, a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Matt Wyatt is in the house on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at the Zone1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team. You can comment on the live stream if you're on YouTube, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter. We'll get to some of those. Lots of texts coming in on the Country Pleasing text line. The number to text is 885-3776. 601 number, 885-3776. And give me a call on the all-new Junction phone line. Come on. The Junction phone, fueled by Prince Oil Company. They've been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. Fuel for your vehicle, fuel for your stomach. Give me a shout. The number to call is 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. Talking about the Yankees deal, Nick said in that case the Yankees should have made it fitted hat day too. John in Rolling Fork says, no coincidences. Sankey seems to be an extremely sharp businessman. Yeah, 100%, John. It is not a coincidence that all at once we learned about it. And it goes out in the press. All this stuff gets settled behind the scenes before it, boom, gets blasted out there in the press. But what, back-to-back days? One day, well, look at here. The College Football Playoff Committee has put it in writing that they're going to be using a new metric and measurement to determine team schedules that they've played against. And it says specifically, you're going to get penalized less for a loss to a good team, and you're going to get rewarded more for a win over a good team. And as soon as that comes out, the next day the SEC goes, bam! Now we'll play 9 games now. That's just the assurance we needed. Jerry Jones of the Cowboys says that he offered Micah Parsons more money than any non-quarterback ever. Denzel says, I believe Jerry Jones did, in fact, offer Parsons the richest non-quarterback contract, but I believe he offered it before TJ Watt got his contract. Parsons knew he could get more if he waited after TJ, and that's why he turned it down. I see. So it was the timing of it, Denzel, which would make a lot of sense. Bulldog Blitz says, I agree it'd be lazy to stick with the old cross-division rivalries, but they didn't do Ole Miss and Vandy this time. Yeah, that's right. That's right. They didn't this time. You know, one question to ask, too, is over the long haul, you take a team like Vandy, they got plenty of money, and they could easily decide, okay, here at Vandy, what we're going to do about a 7-year cycle, which means for 5 years we're going to dip and save, but then we're going to spin, and go on a 2-year run. 1 year we build it, the next year we make our run, spend all our money, buy every player we can buy. You know what I mean? I mean, who knows? MSU 1980 texted the show and says, Matt, I think the 9 conference games and one from the other 3 strong conferences, it'll make SEC schools like State play the other 2 games against guaranteed win schools that no one will want to see. Add to that State is one of the smallest SEC schools and doesn't have as many affluent graduates that can contribute to pay and play. It's going to be difficult ahead to get winning records. But here's what I thought last night, too, and I didn't mention this earlier, MSU 1980. See if you think this is a decent idea. Okay, you said, yeah, you play 9 conference games, 1 non-conference against a Power 4, so, you know, NC States and people like Arizona and people like that. Then you got 2 more non-conferences. Who are those going to be against? You say guaranteed wins that people aren't going to watch. Here's an idea. And I don't think this is crazy one bit. I do not think this is crazy. Here's an idea. For Mississippi State and their other 2 non-conference games every year, go ahead and set it in stone now. Talk to the schools, strike the deal, and get it in writing what you're going to pay for, and have a constant every single year rotation. You play Jackson State and Alcorn State and Southern Miss, at least 1 or 2 of those every single year for those other 2 non-conference games. There's no reason not to do it. There's no reason not to do it. And stop going out here for these other 2 and it be, you know, the Citadel or CELA or Louisiana Lafayette. No! Stop that. There's no reason that every single solitary year for Mississippi State, one of those other 2 non-conference games, at least one of them every year ought to be Jackson State, Alcorn State. And it ought to be a steady rotation of hosting Southern Miss. Stop all this going to Hattiesburg. It's great. I'm going to enjoy it this year or whatever. But there's, you know, given that now you're going to have 3 non-cons, one of those is a power, and you only got 2 other spots, there's no such thing as scheduling any more road trips to their place. You just don't do it. You're not going to do it. What do you think about that idea? Somebody with a memory on the country pleasing text line said Jackie Parker beat Ole Miss one year with a mask on due to a previous week's injury. The next day, the Clarion Ledger sports page read, yesterday, a masked man stole the Egg Bowl trophy from Ole Miss. How about that? What year would that have been? Jason in Flagstaff said, yeah, I agree with that. I'm all for bowl games as a reward for a good season, but at least 500 ought to be the hard cutoff. Still turns my stomach that a 5-win team, then a 3-win COVID team makes bowl games, especially when folks bragged about 13-year bowl streaks. I mean, it's fine, you know, but, you know, it's not what it was anymore, especially when we have players and entire teams that are opting out of bowl games. You know, this is professional now too, Jason. That's the other thing about it. It's no longer you bring in a signing class of 25 and 21 of them end up on senior day. And we're doing that every year. We're stacking a team. So when we bring you in, man, it's for the long haul. It's develop and get better, or we just going to stink. You know, it's not that anymore. This is professional sports. So like I was talking about with Vandy, there are going to be some schools who, you know, for budgetary reasons are going to have a period of time where they dip and save and don't spend, stack it up, stack it up, stack it up, and then spend. Go make a run at it. It'd be like watching baseball. Say it, call it what it is. Grumpy texted the show. He said, Matt, Grumpy was a groomsman in the late 70s wedding. All the other groomsmen were 70s MSU football players, including Dave Marler. Grumpy looked like the water boy in the groupies. He was small compared to the others. Now, MSU 1980 likes my idea. He said, man, that sounds like a good idea that you came up with about playing JSU Alcorn USM as one of your non-conference games. I mean, just schedule it. Be done with it. Strike a deal with them. You say, because you have a point that if you're trying to go out and write $1 million and $2 million checks to other schools to come in and be some guaranteed win, what sense does that make? It makes no sense. Nick said, as long as State never, ever, ever, ever plays them on the road, dumbest thing ever playing in Hattiesburg this year. Well, you know, and Nick, see, I really don't disagree with you. Okay, I really don't. But especially looking ahead in a scenario where you only have 3 non-conference games to begin with, one of those you are mandated to schedule against a Power 4, right? Then, like we're saying, in that scenario, then you only have 2 non-conference games to be scheduling anybody outside of that, like a Southern Miss. You simply are not in a scenario where you can anymore even consider going there. And somebody goes, well, they won't schedule you then unless you guarantee you come to their place. Well, okay, I'm sorry. Because we can schedule Jackson State. We can schedule Alcorn State and have a darn good time doing it. Their fans will enjoy coming, and we will love it. We'll roll out the red carpet and enjoy having their fans, having their team, their coaches, their players, their band. We're all from the same state. We'll just have a great big party on campus every year. I'm just saying, somebody look me in the eye and tell me why they shouldn't do that. Well, Matt, because, you know, you play these teams from Louisiana, it helps you in recruiting. Recruiting? That's dead. Let me tell you what recruiting is. Hey, how much do you cost? We need a tackle. What's the price? Because we need it bad enough we can make it happen. I hate to be that way, but I just told you the truth. So nobody can give you a reason anymore that it doesn't make sense. If you're writing those checks, you write them to your fellow Mississippians and those schools. You got to consider that. That's just my humble opinion. That's all it is. There's a reason I'm not the AD. There's a million reasons I'm not the AD. But I tell you what, hour 1 is in the books, and I enjoyed it. And hour 2 is coming up right after this. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah. After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille. It's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Welcome to my photography studio downtown Tupelo. Everybody needs a headshot, especially if you're in the professional world, in sales, any sort of customer related business, outreach business, anything like that. Everybody needs a headshot. Here at my photography studio in Tupelo, we do a lot more than just headshots, but we're kind of focusing on headshots for that very reason, because everybody needs it. Let me show you a little something about it. One thing I'm able to do here is sort of have 2 to 3 different looks in a small space that we can do in a short amount of time. Several different looks and styles of lighting with studio equipment, studio lighting. Some with flash and a particular look that I've worked on a constant lighting scenario where you sit down, the lights are already on, you lean in, and we kind of illuminate the whole face. And we get several options in the studio in a short amount of time. Here's 2 priorities for me when I shoot headshots. One is it has to look like you. Okay, none of this fake stuff. The other goal is it's got to look like you at your best. And that's my job as a photographer. And I've got a lot of experience over the years, and I feel really confident I can do that for you. I would love to schedule a session for you here at the studio in downtown Tupelo. I'm above the Reed's Gift Shop, just off of Troy Street, the corner of Troy and Spring. If you can't get to Tupelo, that's okay. Let's talk about it, because we can pack the studio up and come to you if the schedules fit and that sort of thing. I'd love to help you with your headshots. I think everybody needs them. I'm inviting you to please email me, reach out. You can go to my website, mattwhyattmedia.com, email address matt@mattwhyattmedia.com, and let's talk about your headshot.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi, local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do, at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
It's BEAT to 42424. That's BEAT to 42424.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Barbecue season is back. Hey, it's Ellen. And this is Sarah Beth. And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Smokehouse Barbecue Bacon Sandwich is that zesty barbecue sauce. I love that it was a little sweet, a little tangy, and with the mac and cheese.
I feel like I tasted the brown sugar bacon first. It was the absolute
I'm Eddie
best.
Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion, and no, it's not a grill.
Dreamer to industry
I'm Eddie
lead.
Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Jackson.
We are good to go.
With more of the Matt Wyatt Show coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone1059.com.
All right, here we go. Back with you. Hour number 2 off and running on this Friday. Get it on in here. We can get into whatever you want to get into. We're talking about this scheduling stuff, and I want to pick it back up right there, and then we'll kind of start back over and hit the headlines from the day. Brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group. That's coming up. Get some phone calls in on the Junction phone line, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Got your texts, Country Please and text line. Everybody on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Etc. It's not etc. It's etc. with a T. But I digress. You got jamborees and that sort of thing tonight. You've got preseason football in the NFL tonight. And then tomorrow? You're going to have actual, real, live college football with results that'll matter. That's coming up. So you got a little bit of everything going on. Hey, and let me quickly remind you, you can comment on the live stream. Hey, too, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, X, any of those, streaming it, you can just type the comment, post it. I see it all right here, and then we can bring your comment up on the screen and talk about it that way and kind of converse that way, digitally, as it were. You can text me on the Country Pleasing text line as well, Country Pleasing Sausage, 885-3776, 601 number, 885-3776. Again, the number to text the show, 885-3776. Or you can call me on the new Junction phone line, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Over to line 1, we got Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona. What's up, Jason?
Nothing much. Just thought I'd call. You were saying that college football is pro now, and I think you're right, and I realized what it was. So I thought I'd call and see how you thought about this. If you compare what college football is now and compare it to and what is likely to be for the next 10 years at least, and compare it to Major League Baseball before the salary cap, going back 100 years, and you look who won the World Series, and it's like, what is it, 75 times the Yankees won it?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yep.
So that's what I was thinking. How do you feel about that?
Well, I just think it's out of my hands, it's out of your hands, and doggone, I think that's what you're going to be looking at.
It's kind of sad, isn't it?
Well,
we're what, 100 years into college football, we still don't have a real playoff, and okay, paying the players is fine, but now you've got like a handful of schools that are $20 million a year every year into their roster, and other people are lucky if they can scrape up half that.
Right. That's kind of the scenario you're in. And see, I think, Jason, the same group of teams are going to win it every year. There's so many things that go under that, though, too, Jason. Like, one is we've kind of had that going on anyway, which then makes me wonder how and why. It's like, because I think that's what I'm saying. They were paying and saying they weren't, but they were. And then this, like I kept saying when we started this show, Jason, ever how many years ago, I would say the NCAA, from an enforcement standpoint, they're just a ghost that everybody believes in. They're not doing anything, and they weren't.
Yeah, they were irrelevant. But let me say this: at least with the rules, there were a bunch of schools that actually tried to stay within that framework.
Yep.
And it at least made it where some schools that don't have as much as others are at least competitive.
Yeah.
This being wide open, I think it's there's a lot of schools, and I'm afraid State's going to be one of them, that aren't really going to be competitive anymore.
Well, Jason, but here's what I think. I basically agree with you. But here's, like I was talking about Vanderbilt earlier, I kind of use them as an example. They got plenty of money. And because, like you said, okay, the next 10 years, if we stay like we are, which there's no signs you won't, which is wide open transfer, there's nothing to keep a player from going to 5 schools in 5 years. There's nothing to stop them. Legally. All you got to do is challenge something legally, you get whatever you want now. Okay, and therefore you can pay anybody to come at any time. There is the other side of the coin, which is, hey, there are some schools that'll load the wagon once every ever how many years, and they will totally flip their whole roster overnight and have a chance. You know, I guess kind of in the vein of this, you know how it used to, if you saw somebody that had a total rebuild project, it took 4 years. Because you had to rebuild, get the players in, convince them to stay, develop them, and then finally 4 years later they all became seniors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to wait on that anymore. Look at State's defensive line. Look at State's offensive line this year. We'll see if they're any good, but I'll tell you this, they're more talented than they were last year across the board because they went out and brought in like 8 linemen on both sides of the ball. It was overnight. So that's the other thing, though, that I wonder about. I'm just saying, like, you take a State, you take a Vanderbilt. Is it okay? Here's what our budget is. So we're better off where we like biscuits, Jason. You know how they squat and then they rise. Like a biscuit. You squat for a little while, get hot, let it heat up, and then every few years you rise and spend all that money and try to make a run at it. That's what I wonder if we're going to see.
I hope so. Well, y'all pray for me. I've been out here so long that I'm turned into a pansy, and this 40% humidity is kind of taking my breath today. So.
Yeah. Look, Jason, here we're getting a cool snap. The false fall thing, we're getting it again this coming week. This morning in Tupelo, I went outside, you know, sun was coming up, and it was like 67 degrees. I couldn't believe how cool it felt. And I'm like, man.
I saw that. The reason it's so humid here is we've got a whole bunch of storms coming for the next week and a half at least. So it's weird weather is everywhere. It's usually not this wet here. So anyway, I'll hang up and listen. Y'all have a good one.
You too, Jason. Thanks for the call. You can be like Jason, call me on the Junction phone line, fueled by Prince Oil Company, fueling Mississippi since 1960. What do you think about all that? You're right. Somebody goes, mass turnover doesn't always work. Look at Florida State last year. See, that's the other thing, too. I think the peaks and valleys, you know, there'll be deeper valleys for some programs who are spending tons of money on their roster because they're just going to have a year they miss on it. Right? Misevaluate, or guys get there and the money changes them and they're no longer, you know, you can't work them. And you know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff going on also. So it's just harder to predict, I guess. Jared commented on Facebook, and he said if they have a system that'll rank teams based on a schedule, good wins, good losses, then let the rankings set the bowl games, and a 4-8 SEC school gets the extra game and practices instead of a 6-6 team from the American Conference. Well, all right. You just took it another layer deeper in this whole discussion, Jared, regarding the schedule metrics. Yeah, but so you took it one step deeper. I'll take it one more. What if sometime in the next 5 years or so, what if we go to the super conference deal? Okay, and instead of 120 some odd quote unquote FBS schools, we just have a league that's got about 60 teams in it. somewhere around 60 total. Okay, well, again, keep in mind right now you've got 50 bowl games or more? So the highest level, if they do that, then the highest level of, and we're going there, the highest level of football doesn't have enough teams to send teams to all these quote unquote bowl games. You see what I mean? And so, and again, we got whole teams telling bowls, I ain't coming. We're not coming. Marshall, you've been invited to the so-and-so bowl. Yeah, well, we don't want to play. We're not coming. Our players left. 20 of our players followed Charles Huff to Southern Miss. We're not coming to a bowl. Isn't it weird? So, like, here's what we're approaching when we talk about bowls and stuff and records. We're about to get to a point, Jared, where we're going to have a big enough, full enough college football playoff format at the end of, at the end of the year. And any team not in that, it's basically like going to the NIT in basketball. I mean, we're fast approaching that. And the whole thing of, they're playing so many games. Nobody cares about that anymore because you're paying them millions of dollars to play. That's the other thing, people want collective bargaining for the players. Well, what if you get it? Because how many games you going to play then? Oh, really? We're going to pay you this kind of money. All right. And you expect us to play only 12 games every year, even for the bad teams? Wrong. That ain't happening. We're doing NFL. We'll play 15, 16 games. If you play here, you want that kind of money. Get ready. All right, back over to the phone, the Junction phone, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Call. We got DK on line 2 of the Junction phone. What's up, DK?
Fine. How you doing today, Matt?
Doing great. Thanks for calling.
Good. Look, I was going to bring up something. You know how you were just talking about only football teams or certain ones that are winning national championships? Mm. It's the same way in baseball and in basketball. Don't you agree?
Well, I don't know that much about basketball, who's won it recently. But, yeah, baseball, it's some of the same ones.
Your Dukes, your North Carolinas, your Kansases, most of those teams, they're competing every year to win a national championship. And then in baseball, most of the time, it's usually nothing but SEC teams that are competing to win the national championships.
Well, that is true.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, you're right about that in baseball. It's an SEC team every year, pretty much.
And that's what I'm saying. I think some of your teams like State, why not load the boat and go win a national championship in baseball?
Yeah.
And just, go 500 in football.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to pack Duty Noble Field out every year. They're competing for a national championship and hosting regionals and super regionals, where you take like Alabama, they won't ever probably be able to host a super regional or regional many times.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. And it is true that it's a different set of variables you're playing with at some of these others. It's like basketball at Kentucky. Okay, that's a whole different animal that the decision makers at Kentucky are dealing with than, say, somebody like Vandy, or you know what I mean? Like they don't care about basketball. But it is a different set of variables. But I think those are things that they do have to consider. I don't know how you factor all that in, because the thing about it is, DK, I guess, a place like State, even though you got baseball fever every year, all year at State, it's still football that's bringing in the revenue and paying the majority of the bills.
That's true. But, I mean, realistically, do you really think they could ever win a national championship?
Well, I mean, what amount of money would they have to spend to get to that point is the question.
Exactly.
I mean,
but they will spend whatever they have to win a baseball, in my opinion.
And that cost is probably less than what it costs you to – well, it is less than what it costs you to win one in football.
Where Ohio State, they'll pay whatever for football because they don't care about basketball or baseball.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's kind of like the what's the Bible verse, DK, about, you know, where a man's heart is, that's where his treasure is also.
Exactly.
It's kind of what it is, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, South Carolina, Kentucky, they would rather win a basketball national championship than they had baseball or football, in my opinion. Because they're going to give more. They have a better chance of doing that because they're going to give more money to basketball.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You have to pick what sport you think you could win in, and that's what one I think people are going to give money for.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point, DK. Yeah. Thanks for the phone call.
Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Call me anytime. Hey, and y'all, regarding that idea, okay, so you go to 9 conference games. The 10th game has to be a Power 4 non-conference deal. So you really only have 2 non-conference games where you can or will schedule, you know, lesser teams and get you some wins, right? You know, that's the idea. I guess unless you're Florida, you don't play Florida State and Miami. But anyway, the rest of them. I suggested for State, given that scenario beginning next year, it makes total sense to every single year, at least 1, but maybe 2 every year. Those 2 extra non-conference must be against teams from Mississippi, either Southern Miss, Jackson State, or Alcorn. That's who should be coming to your campus every single year for those other 2 non-conference. But here's the other thing about that is what these SEC teams are going to do. Mark my words. They are going to schedule those other 2 non-cons against, you know, there'll be some FCS teams in there, certainly, and stuff like that. And then these SEC teams will get to a point where they will approach those almost, not to the same degree, but indicative of, remember the old freshman football back in the 70s and 80s? Like, these SEC teams had freshman football. Like, the freshmen would have their own team and would go play a whole game against the freshmen from Alabama. And because you have a rule now that you can redshirt, you can play in up to 4 games and still redshirt. So you'll have some of those other 2 non-conferences outside of those 10 games. The last 2, the 11th and 12th games, will be against some teams where you will play the majority of the game with your youngest players on the field. Getting reps. Watch. It'll happen. And hey, it'd be kind of fun. I mean, roster limits are going away too. You realize that? We're almost going back to the 70s in that regard. There'll be some, you can get it when I say roster limits, but you can get people in there all you want. And so you'll have some, and it'd be fun to watch. What if you could watch a game where you knew, okay, this week, because you can still redshirt, we've got 12 to 15 freshmen, including that highly touted quarterback out of high school. He's been over there giving signals every ball game. He's going to start and play the whole game this week. There's going to be a bunch of our freshmen against them. We get to go watch it. You call me crazy, but I'm telling you, it will happen. Now, and again, this comes up, but Hail State fans said if a player is getting NIL money, they shouldn't be allowed to opt out of bowl games. And I think that's being written into some of these, because you're starting to get written contracts now. As you know, anybody trying to legislate against that can't. And so now you're starting. So I think that's probably going into some of the language, actually. Old Tackle said on YouTube, Matt, you're right about playing the in-state schools. Can you imagine playing Valley at Davis Wade and having Jerry Rice in attendance? I mean, it'd be cool. It'd be cool. And it'd be a kind of a game where, frankly, you'd have some starters who are banged up and all, or who just need a rest, and they won't play. Jared said that Southern Miss has been doing better as of the last 3-4 years, but their athletic department usually operates at at budget or under. He said, I'm sure they'd love to have $1 million for playing Starkville. From what I've seen, the game this year isn't even sold out yet with only 36,000 seats, so it doesn't appear to matter to the majority of their fans. Well, see, I think that too, Jared. I think they would take the check, come up there and play. And maybe they wouldn't, but there are some that would. And at the very least, one of those two extra games, your 11th or 12th game, every single year ought to be either Jackson State or Alcorn or maybe Valley coming up there. But most likely Jackson State or Alcorn coming up there. And it's like having a get-together on your campus every year. It ought to be happening every year. There is no reason not to do it. It would be great for everyone. Will said, Matt, who do you think we get as our permanent rivals? Seeming like a lot of people say Ole Miss, Kentucky, and A&M or Bama. Here's who I would like to see as permanent rivals at State. You ready? Here's who I would like to see. It's just me. Okay, it's just my opinion. Nobody cares what I think. Nobody's listening to me on this issue. Here's what I personally would love to see. Permanent rivals for State ought to be Ole Miss, Auburn, and Arkansas. That's what I think. 2 of the 3 drivable. Well, really, they're all drivable. That's the 3 I want. Will said he thinks Ole Miss is going to get State, LSU, and either Vandy or Arkansas. Well, and probably Vandy, too, for them. If they're going to give them LSU and State. Yeah, but probably something like that. All right. Rolling along. Your texts, your calls, your comments coming up in the Bureau. Back after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey y'all, Matt Wyatt here. Each week on the Mississippi Outdoors Podcast, we talk with the people who live it. Hunters, biologists, game wardens, local celebrities, and storytellers that know Mississippi better than anyone.
Those bass come up there and attack them. You know how mean bass can be there.
You're never going to believe this. Matt Wyatt just talked about your deer on the radio. I said, what did he say? He said, it was Photoshopped. And I said, what?
They don't know anything about hunting. They just have never had that right, that freedom.
Dude, that's us, man. That's what we do. So tune in, be inspired, and we'll see you outdoors.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Yeah. Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. The original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links, bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. The Junction Delis, convenience redefined, and Prince Oil Company, a match made in heaven. The Junction Deli, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Prince Oil Company has been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960. It's a pretty good little while. Wonderful people. Man, am I ever more tickled that they're a part of the show and I'm a part of their team now. As you know, if you listen.
Tell him what you think right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt in the Bureau. Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Let's see. Will said he thinks Tennessee will get Bama, Florida, Vandy, or should get Bama. Tennessee should get Bama, Florida, Vandy as permanents. Texas should get Oklahoma, A&M, and Arkansas. See, and then you run into the whole thing. Okay, you're going to get Tennessee, Florida every year, but you're not going to get Tennessee, Georgia. Cognizant Potato on YouTube. Great name. Said, being good at baseball and football don't have to be mutually exclusive. Our facilities and prestige are already there in baseball. We can do more with less. Football needs investment to catch up, according to Cognizant Potato. What do you think about that? Hunter texted the show on the Country Pleasing text line. He said, hey, Matt, after watching your film breakdown of the Southern Miss quarterback, I wanted to look at his stats. What caught my eye was 206 pass attempts to 134 rush attempts to go along with 19-2 touchdown interception ratio. Yep, only 2 interceptions last year. He averaged 4.6 per rush. Hunter says, I believe it'll be key to leave a spy on him and stop those chain-moving runs. He's definitely a gamer. You know, there will be the whole spy. Every team that they play with him, just like Marshall last year, there's all kinds of stuff in there where you're doing man-to-man stuff and rotating into it so that it puts somebody in a spy him role. You know, and offenses combat that with all kinds of different ways. They have stuff in there where he's got blockers. You know, you have stuff in there where you're blocking 10 on 10 because you read one guy, stuff like that. And there were some teams they played, and you could see it in some of those highlights for him, Hunter, where they got a spy. He gets there, and this quarterback just beats him in the open field. Stiff arm him, run through him, go around him. You know, and he's certainly fast enough. He does not appear to be one of these blazing guys. Like, you know, State's going to have some people on defense that can run with him, sure. But, you know, the whole key to it is the front. If your defensive front is disrupting things up there, that's the key to it. If you're not, it's like last year. You just learned it the hard way. If all you're doing with those 3 to 4 down linemen is just catching blocks all day long, catching linemen, then the quarterback's going to do whatever he wants to do. And that'll be the same for him. He's a really good player. Jason in Flagstaff said, if we have so much NIL money to divide, just so much to divide between sports, and we know that it's not enough to be competitive at the highest level in football, then spend it on baseball. And he said that Final Four was awfully fun too. Yeah, that's right. Football's not the only thing. Somebody texted in, and, it's simple, but it makes a lot of sense. It said playing professional football. Adopt an NFL business plan and tweak it. And when you look at the business plan, the difference is, like from an NFL standpoint, is they have real rules that they really do enforce on each other. They have that. I don't really know that you have that yet. They're trying to get there. And if we do someday get moved over into a super level of college football deal where there's it's one level of 60-something teams or maybe less than that, well, then maybe you do. Then maybe you have schools who effectively, operate like an NFL owner does, right? And everybody agrees to be policed and operate under a certain set of rules. But again, how you going to, that's the way it used to be with the NCAA. And then it got to a point where somebody goes, hey, well, they can't legally do this. Let's just sue them. You start suing the organization that you're voluntarily a member of. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, but maybe they can figure out a way to get it done. Jason said, plus you're going to keep the money in state of Mississippi if you schedule those schools. And that is true. Mailman David said, I always heard that Ole Miss doesn't play Southern because they demand it be a home and home, so it's not worth it to Ole Miss to play them. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I guess, when we look at it, in my lifetime as a state guy, I went to school as an 18-year-old in 95. Okay, we never played Southern Miss the years that I was in school. And then for a long time after that, they didn't play. But then it popped up on the schedule 2014 and 15, and it was a home and home. 2014, they opened the season in Starkville. 2015, they opened it in Hattiesburg. And then here we are again. They played a few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, in Starkville when Moorhead was the coach, and this is the return trip. So it is a home and home. And David, maybe it was different for Ole Miss back in the day too, up through the 80s, because you could play that game in Jackson, right? Which is essentially a home game versus having to go to Southern Miss's campus. But I think it makes sense for Ole Miss too. There's no advantage now when you go to this new 9-game deal. You're going to have 9 SEC games plus a Power 4 non-con. It means you only have 2 non-conference games, an 11th and 12th game to play with in terms of scheduling wins and scheduling. And in that scenario, what sense does it make for them to be scheduling Tulane? And Arkansas State. They also should, every year, they should schedule Jackson State or Alcorn at least once, have them there. And they should. And have that every year. They should. And Ole Miss would be in a scenario like we were talking about. You have that game. It's like a fun thing for everybody. And, most of your starters, frankly, don't play. A bunch of them don't play. And part of the, getting people out of high school and younger players in is, you can redshirt, you can play up to 4 games in redshirt. We're going to have 2 games where you're going to play the whole game. That's the way that's going to work. If I'm coming out of high school, I would really look forward to that. So wait a minute, you're telling me, okay, I come to you, okay, and the way you approach it is, even if I'm redshirting, which means 10 of those games, I might get 1 play here, 1 play there, mop up handoff here over after if we're winning. Most of the time I'm just practicing running scout team, holding a clipboard, sending in fake signals next to the guy who's actually signaling the plays in. But you're telling me we're going to have at least one, but maybe 2 games where I play the whole game, and I know that going into the year? Shoot, I would love that as a player, as a signee. Delta Tide fan says, I believe Mississippi State should get Bama, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M as rivals. Bama should get Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, Auburn, and Texas as rivals. See, and that's Delta Tide fan. I don't know how many you're going to have permanent, because what we'd heard is they're going to have 3 permanents and rotate the rest of them. Jason said, yeah, that rumored 60-school super conference scares me as a state guy. I know for a fact that Arizona is worried about it. David said he agrees with the whole thing about, you got 2 non-conferences to play with now outside of the big bad schedule, and they too ought to bring in at least one of the SWAC schools every year and let it be a game where a bunch of your redshirts play most of the game. He says, I agree with that because they will come to Oxford, but revenue-wise, it doesn't make sense to play at a stadium that only holds 37,000 people. Yeah, I mean, I think, David, I don't know that very many state fans even disagree with you with that. It just doesn't. You did it once back in 14-15, and the whole scheduling it again where you go. Again, not that I'm not looking forward to it, I am. And I like Hattiesburg, and I like going there. I like a lot of the people there. But I can definitively say this. In this particular scheduling model where they're playing 8 conference games, you got 4 non-cons, it's fine. It's okay. It's fine. But now with what they're going to beginning in 26, I just think it'll be the end of it. With what they're going to now in the SEC in 2026, 9 SEC games, you must have 1 Power 4 non-con. Now you only have 2, an 11th and 12th game to do whatever you want with your non-conference. I'm telling you, that marks the end of State or Ole Miss ever even considering doing a home-and-home with Southern Miss anymore. It marks the end of it. That's it. Because you can't, in good faith as a schedule maker at one of those schools, you can't schedule that anymore, given the new schedule format the league is going to and forcing you to take one of your 3 non-conferences and you must do Power 4 with it. You see what I mean? That's it. So what I'm saying is I think in our lifetime, for me and those of us who are going to look forward to this game in Hattiesburg next week, we better take pictures because that's it. That'll be the last one. All right. We're going to wrap the week up the right way. When we come back, we'll put our nose in the Bible and Bible questions, get them answered with Terry Fant. That's coming up. Stick around.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Local agents in all 82 counties. So here's what that means. You have that fender bender, hopefully you don't, but let's say you do at an odd time. Something goes on. It's Saturday night at 11 p.m. You don't have to wait until Monday morning to call some 800 number and talk to someone 3 states away. You've got your agent's phone number right there on your phone because you go to church with him. Your kids go to school together. He lives right down the road. You see each other at the ball games on Friday nights. So it's personal with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties in this entire state. And if anything does arise and you need to, run it up the chain or up the flagpole, the home offices for Farm Bureau Insurance are in Jackson, Mississippi. It's right here in the state of Mississippi. It doesn't get more local than and personal, the service that you get with Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. I can't recommend them highly enough. And if you haven't, recently, let them give you a quote. Home, life, auto. It's Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Well, look at what we have here. Christmas come early. Boom. Little green onion country pleasing. That's not all. Little original smoked sausage flavor. That's not all. Jalapeno and cheddar. It has to be one of my favorite, just judging by how much of that stuff I eat. Oh, can't forget. Andouille. Don't be saying andouille, it's andouille. And last, but not least, pork and pineapple. Bun size, 3 links bun size. Look at that right there. Be careful. Come on with it. It's mine. Come here, jalapeno. Oh, that's all mine. Country pleasing sausage. We'll be right back after this message from C Spire. My name is Matt Wyatt. I host the Matt Wyatt radio show out of my home using C Spire fiber.
And when we hit the road as a family, Matt's show goes with us, thanks to C Spire Wireless.
Its ultra-reliable nationwide network lets me broadcast live from anywhere.
And never miss a moment that matters.
Connecting you to what inspires you most on C Spire's blazing fast 5G network. And right now, get your choice of free phone. That's customer inspired. That's C Spire.
Y'all like coffee? I know you do. Check it out. Little High Point Roasters from New Albany, Mississippi. That is the breakfast blend. It's whole bean. And if you notice, that's how much I've had already. Brazil Oberon. Not Orgeron or Orgeron, you LSU. No, Brazil Oberon. That ain't all. We got that. What flavor is that? Papua New Guinea grade AA. Bring it on. High Point Roasters, New Albany, Mississippi. Roast it right there. That's whole bean. One more. I got more. Ah, tried and true.
Worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. We're now going to go to the phone, the Junction phone line fueled by Prince Oil Company. And we're going to finish things up the right way this week. We're going to end the week the right way. Headed into a little football weekend around here. He is Terry Fant with us on the Junction phone line. He is the pastor at Hickory Ridge Baptist Church in Florence, Mississippi. With us on the Junction phone line, fueled by Prince Oil Company. Now, Terry, Prince Oil Company's been fueling Central Mississippi since 1960, and you have been preaching at Hickory Ridge since 19. No, I'm sorry. There's not a 19 in front of it, is it? 2005, is that right? We're fixing to be 20 years?
Yeah, 2005, man. Wow.
Hey,
Isn't that crazy?
First of all, I don't know, Terry, that I've ever given you the applause button on the show, but I think that deserves an applause. Congrats on 20 years, man.
Oh, thank you, man. Hey, all we can say is more testimony that God is who he says he is.
Well, absolutely. When you went there, do you think you'd be there for 20 years?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, man, I just, it's sort of like my relationship with the Lord. I just wake up in the morning and say, Lord, whatever you want to do today, and try to follow him that day. And you string some together and you look up and it's been 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, 2005 doesn't sound like that long ago to me.
It doesn't, does it?
No, it's kind of the way it works. Hey, Terry, so I want to end the week the right way. Glad to have you back on the show. We'll end the day and the week with put our nose in the Bible, look at some scripture, and ask you some Bible questions. And I thought we might take a look at Psalm 23. Okay, Psalm 23. It's the one where, the Lord is my shepherd. And so let me start you this way. Is it right or fair to characterize Psalm 23 as a chapter and some scripture and some verses that a lot of us have heard and memorized, but sometimes we've heard it so much that it goes in one ear and out the other? Is it fair to characterize it that way?
Yes, I think so, Matt. Definitely. It's a place where most of the time, like that in John 3:16. So often you mention Psalm 23 and people just kind of know what, basically, in a general sense, what it says.
Yeah. So before I'm going to read maybe verse by verse and then get, some context or some commentary from you on each verse. But before I do that, the Lord is my shepherd chapter, Psalm 23. What do you think about it? If I were to ask you, what's your thoughts on Psalm 23? What would you say?
I would say that for the life of the believer, it is a source of encouragement, instruction, hope, strength, all that above. So man, it's the psalm for the living. A lot of times, Matt, it's read at a funeral. Mm-hmm. And I get it because hopefully the person, if they were born again, went to heaven with him. But man, that song is for the living. It's this journey walking with him as our shepherd. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, a lot of times it's read at a funeral, but it's for the living. Okay, so it's for the living. So here we go, Terry. Verse 1. I'll read it, put it in your lap, and you tell me what you want to tell me about it. So verse 1 is, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. What's it saying? And, you could preach a series of messages just on that one message. When he says the Lord, he's talking about Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews at this particular time in history. Shepherd, the people he was speaking to, or they would read his writing, would know that a shepherd was one who led sheep. You can't drive sheep, but the sheep are completely dependent upon the shepherd for life. Because sheep are dumb, they don't have sharp teeth, they don't run fast, and so they need the shepherd to provide. And the second part of the verse says, in other words, when the Lord is my shepherd, here's what happens. I shall not want. And the literal phrase is, I shall not lack any good thing.
Okay. Huh.
But it is imperative that the first part, it's only when the Lord is my shepherd.
Verse 2, he makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. So verse 2 is some symbolism, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of it?
So again, there's the green pastures. Sheep have to have green grass to feed and to live and to be sustained. And water, they've got to have water, obviously, to drink. So he's talking about the everyday provision of what we need to live and thrive. And two things quickly, the making me lie down. The good thing about a shepherd is he knows when the sheep need to stop and rest. And sometimes, if you're like me, Matt, you'll go 1,000 miles an hour. Sometimes he has to make you lie down. Mm-hmm. And with me, I've had a few illnesses over the years that I knew God used that illness to make me lie down. And the still waters, I've heard and read that a sheep won't drink from waters when they're disturbed, when they're choppy.
Okay.
And so this still water is where they can get the drink that they need.
So it's a little bit of the shepherd knowing the sheep well enough to take them to a place where they will drink. And
that is it.
Yeah. Okay. So then verse 3, and this made me think about you too, Terry, and I'll tell you why. But verse 3, he restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. But that first part, he restores my soul. I've heard you talk about that before. There's another psalm where you've quoted, he is the one who lifts my head. So you take it away. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake.
Oftentimes, Matt, our soul is longing, it's lagging, it's weary, it's tired from life, from trying to figure out life, from trying to make life better, and all of that. And man, we get weary, just like sheep. We get weary, and when we let the shepherd lead us,
I think we lost Terry. We're going to have to call him back. I heard the beep, which sounded like either he hung it up or somebody hung up on him. So I had to try to call him back. We're talking with Terry Fant, pastor at Hickory Ridge Baptist Church, ending the week the right way, looking at Psalm 23. He was in the middle of talking about verse 3. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. There's only 3 more verses in the whole chapter, 4, 5, and 6. It says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Verse 5, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. And verse 6, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I believe we got Terry back. And Terry, we were on verse 4 right there, and we were about to get to verse 4. But in verse 3, that last part, for his name's sake, he does all that. I'll give it back to you where we lost you.
Okay, so like the shepherd, the sheep belong to the shepherd, and then when you look at the sheep, if they're not cared for, if they're weary, if they're broke down, you don't blame the sheep. The sheep's not able to help itself. You attach the condition of the sheep to the shepherd. And so he leads us in these places so that his name will be glorified because our name is attached to him. Wow. Right. His name's sake.
For his name's sake, which is the reason for it. Okay. And then verse 4, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. That's the first part of that verse. What do you make of it?
Again, as the sheep is unable to run fast or growl or roar or any of those things, it needs protection. And the thought from David is that no matter the situation of life, he doesn't have to fear evil because not because of his ability, the sheep's ability, but because the shepherd's ability, and he is with him. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing, really, in this life, we have 2 major enemies. One internal, that's our flesh nature. One external, Satan. And he says your rod and your staff. So a rod is used to beat off those outside, oftentimes, ward off the wolf or the bear. But the staff is oftentimes used to help the sheep up when he's made a poor decision and fallen in a hole, if you will. And so you see the evidence of God giving us victory over both our enemies, external and internal.
So
we have nothing to fear.
So then in verse 5, that's kind of what you're saying, that first part of verse 5, Psalm 23. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Boy, there's a lot there in that part of verse 5, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Hey, Matt, when you're surrounded by enemies, you're probably not going to sit down and eat a meal. If you're anxious, afraid, and worried, you're going to run. If you're trusting in your own abilities, you're going to be sharpening your sword. But man, when you're trusting in the good shepherd, you can sit down and have a meal. Your enemies can be all around you. It won't bother you one bit. You'll be able to enjoy the texture and taste of that food because the presence of the shepherd and the strength of the shepherd who's with you. Because
he's there. And if he were not there, you're not going to sit there and relax and enjoy it. That's for certain. That's for certain. Yeah. Terry, thanks, man, for a little insight on a very popular verse or chapter of Scripture, Psalm 23. There's only 6 verses in it. But there's a lot in it. Terry, thanks. Talk to you soon.
Matt, thank you, brother. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. See ya.